to the Tuesday Night Touchdown Podcast with your hosts, Reese Downing and Jacob Workman.
What is up, everyone? NCAA edition of the Tuesday Night Touchdown Podcast. Going over a little week one recap and week two picks. Joining, as always, co-host Reese Downing. Reese, what is going on?
What's going on, man? How are you?
Well, not too bad. Not too bad. My team sucks, but there's been a lot of football on, which is nice. So get distracted easily by that. Thankfully, we don't play this weekend, and we are not the standalone game anymore. It's nice when your first two games are watched by everyone in the world and you're awful. So at least that should be coming to a change soon. Going over just some little news and notes from last week. We had mentioned a few weeks ago that the SEC was talking about adding injury reports. It is officially done now. They have joined the Big Ten and the MAC by adding football injury and availability reports. It is only for conference games, and it will, unfortunately for us, it doesn't start until Wednesdays of game week. So we're still going to be just flying blind, but it is what it is. Yeah, unfortunately, the injury reports are not going to help this show, but that's what we do. We're used to it. It's all right. Thursday night, North Carolina lost their quarterback, Max Johnson, for the season. He broke his femur against Minnesota. Last week, we did mention the Arizona wide receiver, Tetairoa McMillan, was cleared to play. Well, he played.
Yeah, he played.
He broke the school record with 304 receiving yards and matched another with 4 touchdowns as the Wildcats beat New Mexico 61-39. Another kind of stud player here, Boise State running back Ashton Jeanty. He set a few school records himself. He rushed for 267 yards and had 6 rushing touchdowns in the Broncos' victory over Georgia Southern, 56-45. I know Reese was heavily tuned into that one with Jeanty being his number one pick of the College Fantasy Football League.
Yeah, he gave me like 80 points, so gotta love that.
Yeah, I had McMillan. I think McMillan finished somewhere around like 60 something. It was crazy. Big Ten teams started the year 17-1 in week one. The only loss was the last second field goal missed by Minnesota against North Carolina on Thursday night. If they would have hit that field goal, the Big Ten would have started 18-0. LSU has lost 5 season openers in a row now. Mississippi State, UCLA, Florida State twice, and USC. 3 of those are Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly was the 2 Florida State games in USC. And then the next 2 years, they open with a home and home with Clemson. So I don't know. LSU fans have to be pissed to be starting the season with games like this every single year.
Yeah.
Brian Kelly had a quote. It's the first time since I've been here at LSU that I'm angry at my football team. He points to personal fouls that helped USC score and not having a killer instinct to put USC away. And in the picture on the slide here, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see he slammed his fist on the table. Water bottle went flying through the air. That's the Brian Kelly of old we're finally starting to see. Maybe he'll light a fire under that team. It was a very good weekend for some true freshman wide receivers. Ryan Williams at Alabama had 139 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State had 92 yards and 2 touchdowns. Ryan Wingo at Texas had a team-high 70 yards. Reese Vandersee, the new Great White Hope for Iowa, had 66 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then the duo at Auburn, Perry Thompson and Cam Coleman, had 82 yards and a touchdown and 62 yards and a touchdown. So Auburn with some nice young talent for the future for Hugh Freeze there. Oregon survived a scare from FCS Idaho. It was 17-14 with 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And late in the game, Oregon decided to go for it on a 4th down instead of kicking a field goal, which did lead to a game-sealing touchdown without giving the Vandals a chance. The Kalen DeBoer era kicked off in a huge way, 63-0 win over Western Kentucky. In the first half alone, quarterback Jalen Milroe was 4 of 6 for 169 yards and 3 touchdowns, plus he had 50 rushing yards and another touchdown. 6 of the first half possessions led to touchdowns. Ole Miss quarterback Jackson Dart had a huge first half as well against Furman. He was 22 of 27 for 445 total yards and had 6 total touchdowns. And Ole Miss would go on to beat Furman 76-0. Good Lord.
Love it.
They should put us in. Give me a touchdown. I'm going to call Lane up. So speaking of, I think I could start at Florida State right now. Jesus Christ. Ollie Gordon got off to a hot start, rushing for 104 yards and 2 touchdowns as Oklahoma State defeated South Dakota State 44-20. He has surpassed 100 yards in 10 of his last 12 games. Also, the NCAA decided no QR codes on the helmet, stating that the NCAA interprets the stickers as advertising/commercial marks, which are not permitted. I was watching this game. They did a very good job. They had the scoreboard lit up with the QR codes, and they had all the sides, like the side walls were QR codes, which I think that's more of a reasonable thing they should have been doing anyway, as opposed to the helmets. I think the helmets were a terrible idea, as we talked about a few weeks ago. I even tweeted out at one point the QR code for Ollie Gordon because he was lighting it up, and I think people should give him money because he shouldn't be driving, so we need to get him some Uber money. What was that?
No, I'm laughing both at the fact that Ollie Gordon shouldn't be driving anywhere and the fact that they stepped in to say that QR codes on the helmet were a bad idea, but it wasn't because nobody's going to be able to fucking scan them.
Right. Yeah, I still would have loved to have seen a person trying to get that on their television. That would have been a show in itself. Florida fans are already discussing the $26 million buyout for Billy Napier as the Gators got smoked on their home field by Miami 41-17. Cam Ward started his Hurricane era 26 of 35 for 385 yards and 3 touchdowns. Dylan Raiola had a pretty good day in Lincoln, 19 of 27, 238 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. He did score on 5 of 8 drives as the Cornhuskers defeated UTEP 40-7. Penn State opened the season on the road in Morgantown facing West Virginia, but the game really didn't live up to the hype. Penn State was up 20-6 at halftime before a 2-hour and 20-minute weather delay. And after the delay, it only got worse for the Mountaineers as the final score was 34-12. A little quieter note here, Purdue quarterback Hudson Card broke the FBS single game record for the highest completion percentage with a minimum of 20 completions. He was 96% completion, 24 of 25 for 273 yards and 4 touchdowns. Have a day, Hudson Card. That was pretty solid. He's a transfer in from Texas. Obviously, he had to leave there because of Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning. So Purdue got themselves a gem. Georgia defeated Clemson 34-3 for their 40th straight regular season win. That's insane.
Yeah, was it 2020 was the last time they lost?
I don't even know. I mean, that's a 12, 24, 36, 40. Yeah, so I guess it would have been about 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago. I couldn't even tell you the team that beat them in the regular season. That feels like forever ago. Iowa has decided to use receivers this year. A shocking twist. In 2022, they only had 2 touchdown catches by a wide receiver. And in 2023, they only had 3. Well, in the second half Saturday, they had 3 already as they went on to win 40-0 over Illinois State. I guess with the head coach suspended, maybe the boys wanted to have some fun. They were like, hey, maybe we can play some real football finally. Tennessee quarterback Nico Iamaleava was 22 of 28 for 314 yards and 3 touchdowns as the Vols opened the season with a blowout win against Chattanooga 69-3. This feels like forever ago after all the games on the weekend, but Thursday night, Colorado defeated North Dakota State. The end of the game was all about the refs, though, missing a clear targeting on Colorado and then rolling the clock on a first down before they'd even put the ball on the ground, taking away any chance for the upset. Notre Dame went on the road to defeat Texas A&M 23-13. The Irish D was very dominant in an impressive performance. With the remaining schedule for the Irish, I would think fans have to start preparing for a home playoff game. There are some games they could still lose on the schedule, but it really seems like they're going to be favored in every game remaining. Reese, I know that was your upset pick or your underdog pick last week. I'm sure you're feeling pretty good about that.
Yeah. I like the Oregon let me down, but digging the underdog pick. I did look up the last Georgia loss. It was in 2020, and it was against number 8 Florida. They got beat 44-28.
The cocktail party.
Yeah, Kyle Trask went 30 for 43 for 474 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception. This was the team that had Damian Pierce, Kadarius Toney, Kyle Pitts.
Who was the Georgia quarterback then?
Stetson Bennett. He went 5 for 16 for 78 yards, 1 touchdown and a pick. Their running backs were Zamir White and James Cook. Kearis Jackson, who didn't end up doing anything in the NFL. James Cook, Jermaine Burton, Zamir White were some of the lead receivers. But yeah, Stetson Bennett did not have a good day. He eventually, I think, got replaced. It could have been the other way around. DeJuan Mathis also played. He went 4 for 13 for 34 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 picks.
I was going to say, that might have been the beginning of Stetson Bennett, actually. Like, that might have been what made him the starter.
Yeah, so Bennett may have been called in after Mathis threw 2 picks and started 4-13. Not a good game for either one of them, but.
And my last news and note here, the Noles have moved to 0-2 with 2 conference losses.
These guys don't look too fucking good.
Losing to BC 28-13. Everything was awful except the kicker and the punter. The defense couldn't get off the field. Offense missed wide open passes. And then when DJ actually hit the receivers, they would just drop it. Terrible decision early in the second half to go for it on 4th down. I'm not sure what that idea was behind that. And Norvell in the post-game press conference didn't really have an answer to it either. Things are looking awful right now for the Noles. I don't know if it's a mix of, obviously there's a lot of turnover. It's a lot of new guys playing this year. And I don't know if maybe they just thought that it was going to be a walk in the park like last year's team. Maybe they just saw what they did and they're like, oh, we can easily come in and do this, or what the situation is. But things need to change quickly. It's almost taken me back to the Willie Taggart era already, and I can't go back to that.
Yeah, you can't go 3 of 14 on 3rd down, 21 yards rushing total.
They had the ball for
BC had time
seconds.
of possession by 17 minutes.
Yeah. The whole first quarter, they literally had the ball the whole first quarter. It was unbelievable.
I don't understand what's going on with the rushing attack.
They aren't even calling rushing plays, really.
That's what I'm getting at. If DJU is going to perform like that, and you're not going to put Brock Glenn in, leave the ball on the ground.
There was a nice chant at Doak last night. We want Brock chant. It was very loud. You could hear it audibly on the TV. That's how loud it was. But
coming from your living room, is that why it was so loud?
I was chanting for I just was hoping the clock how do we get what is that called? Accelerated clock in the video game where it just runs fast. That's what we needed.
Yeah.
And so to finish up, I did just mention this. So week 1, our locks and dogs. I did hit my lock with Bama minus 31.5, and Reese hit his dog with Notre Dame plus 116. With that, we are going to jump into the week 2 picks. We're going to start off with a big one, actually. The big noon kickoff on Fox. Number 3, Texas is a 7.5 point favorite going on the road to Ann Arbor to face number 10, Michigan. Over-under is 43.5. This is Saturday at noon on Fox. Reese.
Both these teams played Mountain West teams in week 1. Texas looked like a more complete team. They had their game wrapped up in the first half. It took Michigan basically all 4 quarters to beat Fresno. I think those offensive struggles we talked about ahead of the season is potentially going to show a bit in this game. It's been a while since the Wolverines have been an underdog at home, but I'm taking Texas here minus the points.
I am taking Texas as well. Fresno had decent success against Michigan, and Fresno's a good team. Like I've said, there's never going to be a bad word said about Fresno, but Texas's offense to me looks like they're going to be way too strong for this Michigan defense, and I don't think the Michigan offense can keep up with them. Bowling Green is going on the road to number 8 Penn State. Penn State's a 34.5 point favorite. 48.5 is the over-under. Saturday at noon on the Big Ten Network.
Yeah, another year of not being able to put a thumb on what the hell Penn State's going to do. They looked messy to start that game against West Virginia, put up 20 in the second quarter to pad that lead and cruise. Drew Eller had 3 scores, but only 216 in the air. Their defense really helped with 3 turnovers. West Virginia went 4 for 14 and 3rd down. I think Penn State wins this game, but this spread's a little concerning to me. So I'm going to take Bowling Green here plus the points.
Yeah, I wasn't too sure on this one. I'm going to go with Penn State to cover just because I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Last week, they actually showed they could have explosive plays, which they didn't do at all last year. So maybe things are changing there. Maybe we're going to see some real offense, and Aller will continue. Aller had a good game last week, so we'll see if he can keep it going. And I don't think Bowling Green is one of the better MAC teams either, so 35 shouldn't be too tough, but we'll see. The over-under is only 48, so it's going to probably be a sweat at the end. Arkansas is going on the road to number 16, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's a 7.5-point favorite. Over-under is 62.5. This is Saturday at noon on ABC.
Razorbacks looked really impressive week one, winning 70 zip, putting up almost 700 yards of offense under Bobby Petrino and that Boise State transfer, Taylon Green. Oklahoma State didn't look bad, but Ollie Gordon only averaged just under 4 a carry against South Dakota State. That's a little eye-opening to me. I'm going to take a runner here and pick Arkansas to keep it within a touchdown.
Yeah, Arkansas's offense, I know they were playing the grocery baggers, but it was still quite the performance for Petrino and his return to Arkansas. But I still like Oklahoma State on their home field. I'm going to take Oklahoma State minus the 7.5. Number 17, Kansas State is a 9.5-point favorite going on the road to Tulane. 48.5 is the over-under Saturday at noon on ESPN.
Yeah, both teams look good in week one. Need to see more out of Avery Johnson. Would like to see them get Dylan Edwards more involved. Tulane's not a shoo-in win here, but if Kansas State's going to win the Big 12, they need to beat good teams like this on the road. So I'm going to take the Wildcats here, minus the points.
Yeah, I'm on Kansas State also for literally one of the reasons you just said. If they've got to start proving that they're a team that can actually contend to win the Big 12, and I think this is a good statement win if they can go on the road. Number 23, Georgia Tech is a 2.5-point favorite on the road at Syracuse. 59.5 is the over-under Saturday at noon on the ACC network.
Yeah, Yellow Jackets continue resetting their image over the past 2 seasons after starting the year 2-0, but they're traveling to Carmelo Anthony lands. I like Fran Brown's chances here, so I'm going to take Syracuse plus the points.
Yeah, I actually like Syracuse at home also. I like what Kyle McCord did last week in his debut game, transferred from Ohio State. Fran Brown in the postgame press conference was talking about how he should send Ryan Day some gifts because of letting Kyle McCord come there. And Georgia Tech, I don't know. I would like to see them prove to me just a little bit more that they're a for real team. But I like the Cuse to we'll say cover. I'm not sure I'm going to take them straight up to win yet, but we're going to say cover. This next game, Tennessee Tech is on the road at number 1 Georgia. This game does not have a line yet. For those of you that joined us last year, when games like this happen, unfortunately, we pick early in the week, so this is bound to happen sometimes. We will put the pick out later on our Twitter page. So we obviously will not be picking this right now. I'm sure this line is going to be something in probably the high 40s. It's going to be a ridiculous line. Jacksonville State is going on the road to number 22 Louisville, 28.5-point favorite. 58.5 is the over-under Saturday at 3:30 on ESPN+.
I'm going to take Louisville here.
I am on Louisville also. Northern Illinois is going on the road to number 5 Notre Dame. Notre Dame's 28.5-point favorite. Over-under is 45.5 Saturday at 3:30 on NBC.
Yeah, big week 1 victory for the Irish in their push to make college football playoff. Much softer opponent in Northern Illinois. I think they'll get their first game of the year here at home in a W, so I'll take Notre Dame to cover.
Yeah, I'm on Notre Dame here also. And one thing I really liked that I saw from Notre Dame before the game at Texas A&M when they were standing in the tunnel, and Marcus Freeman was talking shit to the fans, the A&M fans. You could just tell, like, I don't know. There's something about Marcus Freeman. I've talked about it before. The dude, when he stands on the sideline, he just reminds me of like an Avenger. Like, he looks like Captain America out there. Like, he's the guy I want to coach my team. Like, if I was a Notre Dame fan, I don't even think he calls the defense. If there's a Notre Dame fan watching that can comment, I don't know if he's the true defensive play caller or not for them, but he's just the guy. He's a perfect motivator to me. Like, he's the guy I would want. I want my head coach to look like that. He just looks like a badass over there. Baylor is going to be going on the road to number 11 Utah. Utah's a 14.5-point favorite. 53.5 is the over-under Saturday at 3:30 on Fox.
Yeah, Utah's another team that looked really good. Nice to see rising out there on the field and actually playing football. Love that QB tight end connection on this team. Utah at home, something that's hard to bet against. So I'll take the Utes here minus the points.
Yeah, I am on Utah also. Baylor just hasn't been the same the last few years. I think I even mentioned in the Big 12 preview that I think Dave Randa might be one of the first coaches fired this year. And I think this one's going to go a long way to that. I do like Utah, and if Utah's playing at home, we're taking them. So I'm on Utah minus 14.5. The Cyhawks trophy here. Iowa State on the road at number 21 Iowa. Iowa's a 2.5-point favorite. 35.5 is the over-under. Saturday at 3:30 on CBS.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that over-under didn't shift at all after that week 1 performance. The rivalry is going to be a fun one to watch so earlier in the year. Last 6 of these have been decided by 10 or less, but Iowa's won 7 of the last 8, and I like what I saw in this game. They just need a field goal to cover, so I'm going to take the Hawkeyes at home minus the points.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm much more of a Matt Campbell fan. I do like Iowa State, but in the game, I'm going to back Iowa minus the 2.5, especially if they're showing signs of life on offense. Middle Tennessee is going on the road to number 6 Ole Miss. Ole Miss is 41.5-point favorite, 63.5 over/under. Saturday at 4:15 on the SEC network.
Yeah, Old Miss and Lane Kiffin should be serving jail time right now for how badly they beat Furman last week. Look for them to be a serial offender in this one. I'm going to take the Rebels here to cover.
Yeah, Ole Miss also had like a 350-pound man take a direct snap, and Lane went for it on 4th down late in the game. Like
they're having fun with it.
It was awesome. Yeah. It's my kind of football. I like it. I'm on Ole Miss minus 41.5. Again, a game we can't pick. Florida A&M is going to be on the road at number 12 Miami. That will come in the future. USF is traveling to number 4 Alabama. Alabama is a 30.5-point favorite. Over under 64.5 Saturday at 7 o'clock on ESPN.
Yeah, Bama, another team that looked really good in week 1. I know it was the Hilltoppers, but Kalen DeBoer was like Oprah out there throwing touchdowns around to every player on that team. I think there were 7 different players that found an end zone after everything was all said and done. Milroe looked great, efficient on the ground and through the air. USF is in for a long day, so give me the Tide.
Yeah, I like Bama here again. The USF is a decent team, a team that's been improving over the last few years, but I still like Bama to get the cover in this one. Buffalo is going on the road to number 9 Missouri, 34.5-point favorite, 51.5 over/under. Saturday at 7 on ESPN Plus.
Yeah, both of these teams played last Thursday, and they both got decisive wins, albeit Missouri definitely had a wider margin of victory. Home game at night for the Tigers. I'll take Mizzou here minus the points.
I am on Missouri also. I do not think Buffalo is going to have the defense that can even come close to stopping these guys. I am a little surprised by the 51.5, though. That seems a little low to me. Number 19, Kansas is a 5.5-point favorite going on the road to Illinois. Over-under is 55.5 Saturday at 7 on the one for fun, Fox Sports 1.
I love it every time. Bit of a test here for the Jayhawks on the road. Kansas won the game by 11 last year in Lawrence. I think the Illini defense is better than their offense, but with this being less than a touchdown on the spread, I'll take the Jayhawks here.
I am on Kansas as well. Daniels is back, and I just love watching him play. Illinois, I don't believe, is going to be able to stop that offense, and I don't think Illinois is going to be able to score enough on offense either. So I do like Kansas in this one, even though it is a kind of tricky road game for them. Well, I guess every game this year's a road game, but Western Michigan is going on the road to number 2 Ohio State. Ohio State's a 38.5-point favorite, 53.5 over/under. Saturday at 7:30 on the Big Ten Network.
Another MAC opponent, another blowout win. I'll take Ohio State.
Yeah, I'm on Ohio State too, just because they started so sloppy last week against Akron that I think they need to come out and show a little bit more dominance. I mean, I know they ended up blowing them out, but still, it was an ugly performance. I think they'll be a little bit more sound this week. And again, this one's kind of a low over-under to me also, 53.5, when I could see Ohio State maybe putting up 45 themselves. Next game is Nichols is going on the road to number 18 LSU. Another game without a line. It'll be a future pick. The Duke's Mayo Classic. Number 14 Tennessee is a 7.5-point favorite versus number 24 NC State. This game is being played at Bank of America Stadium, home of the Carolina Panthers in Charlotte. Over under 60.5 Saturday at 7:30 on ABC.
Yeah, if week 1's any indication, I don't think this is going to be a difficult win for Tennessee. So give me Rocky Top here minus the points.
What's our quarterback's name? I was told you would know that this week.
Who said that?
You did.
Nico Iamaleava.
that is not his name.
Yes, I know.
I'm on Tennessee also. I think NC State's a little overrated, and my God, that performance from Tennessee last week. I'm going to back them, and I think we're probably going over in this one also at 60.5. So I'm on Tennessee. And also, one thing I want to note as I was typing in all these stadium names, we need to get some naming rights in college football. More schools need to start taking sponsorships because there's 85,000 Memorial Stadiums, and I'm really sick of it. Like, we need some creative names here. Houston is going on the road to one of the Memorial Stadiums. Number 15, Oklahoma, 29.5 point favorite, 49.5 over under, Saturday at 7:45 on the SEC network.
Yeah, Houston did not look good against UNLV, this Oklahoma team. Maybe one of the more dangerous teams in the country by the time the year's all over. I'm going to take the Sooners here to cover at home.
Yeah, I was highly disappointed in the Willie Fritz debut for Houston last week. I'm going with Oklahoma also. I think that line is too low. App State is going on the road to number 25, Clemson. Clemson's only a 17.5 point favorite with a 52.5 over under, Saturday at 8 o'clock on the ACC network. And guess what? This one's a Memorial Stadium also.
Yeah, I was confident that Clemson was going to get blown out last week's game, and it happened. I think Dabo comes into this game knowing that his seat may be a little bit on fire if he doesn't get a decisive win here. But the problem for him is App State's not a pushover. They're going to have to play hard through all four quarters if they want to cover. I think Joey Aguilar and Sean Clark can keep this game within 16.5. So I'm going to take App State here plus the points.
I am reluctantly taking Clemson. I just feel that they have to show something this week. They need to come out and actually show some sort of dominance. We're either going to see if they're the second coming of Florida State this year and they're just going to be terrible, or if they're actually going to show signs of life and rebound. I have a little bit more faith in Clemson this week, so I'm going to take Clemson minus the 17.5. Unfortunately, this game is a Peacock-only game and 10 o'clock at night, but Boise State going on the road to number 7, Oregon. Oregon's an 18.5 point favorite, 61.5 over under. This is going to be a good one. I'm really looking forward to this one. Who you got?
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Oregon can't pull the same shit they did in week 1 against the Boise State team, because this game is, was 61.5 is the over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be betting the over on this. Jonty kicked off his argument for Heisman in a big way. I still believe Oregon's one of the better teams in the country at the end of the year, but this spread's concerning. I'm going to take Boise State here to keep it within 18.5.
Yeah, this was one I wasn't sure on. I went back and forth with this one. I am taking Oregon minus the 18.5. And it's kind of for the reasons like I've just talked about for a few teams. Like, I just feel like this week 1 was so bad that they have to come out with a performance of showing some dominance, or it might end up being a long season. Like, right now, Oregon is, I believe I saw it as a 2.5 point favorite for when Ohio State visits Autzen in a few weeks. So I was kind of interested to see that Oregon was still a favorite after last week. I am on Oregon, though. Northern Arizona at Arizona will be a pick later in the week. Utah State is going on the road to number 13, USC. USC is a 28.5 point favorite. This one's the LA Memorial Coliseum. 63.5 over under, Saturday at 11 Eastern on the Big Ten Network. Big Ten After Dark.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to take Lincoln Riley and the boys. They just got a solid win against LSU. Take that momentum into home. I'll take the Trojans.
I'm on USC also. A very impressive showing in the first game. And I believe Utah State is the team that my guy had that interception. Everyone was talking about the catch for the USC receiver. If no one saw the interception, go to our, well, you might have to search for a while on our Twitter page, because there's a lot of stuff on there. But there was the catch of the year to me already. A Utah State interception. It was absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, and if anyone doesn't want to watch football on Saturday but know what's going on, just follow our Twitter page. There was a lot going on Saturday. That's wrapping up our top 25 picks. So moving into the Muncie 6-pack, we're going to kick it off with BYU going on the road to SMU. SMU is a 10.5 point favorite. 55.5 is the over-under. Friday night at 7 o'clock on ESPN2.
Yeah, Redsliff looked solid in week 1 against Southern Illinois. He had a solid connection with Chase Roberts, his wide receiver 1. SMU is one of the few teams in the country that have already played 2 games, 2-0 start, and looked better against Houston Christian last week than they did against Nevada in week 1. But my concern with the horse team here is this QB split. Trading time between Jennings and Preston Stone, it's hard for either one of these guys to get a rhythm. I think the Storm and Mormons can keep this within 10 points. So I'm going to take BYU here.
Yeah, if this game was at BYU, I would be flipped. I'd be the other way. But I am taking SMU on their home field. But yeah, the quarterback situation's got to get figured out, and it's got to get figured out quickly. They can't be doing the 2 quarterback system all year. Unfortunately, our Ball State Cardinals, we can't pick them yet, so we will get them later in the week. But they are finally playing their first game. I think they are the only team in FBS that has not played a game yet.
That's correct.
South Carolina is going on the road to Kentucky. Kentucky's a 10.5-point favorite at Kroger Field. Way to get a sponsor. 42.5 over/under. Saturday at 3:30 on ABC.
Kentucky looked solid in week 1 at home against Southern Miss. Put up 31. Didn't allow a point. Solid start to Ham's tenure as OC after leading Boise State's offense last year. On the flip side, South Carolina took all 4 quarters to wrap up a win against Old Dominion. Not a strong start. They don't look good. I'm going to take the Wildcats here.
So South Carolina had a fake field goal. There was a touchdown that got called back, but Old Dominion also fumbled the ball inside the red zone twice going in to score. Old Dominion really should have won that game. South Carolina, to me, is not going to be a good team this year. We might even be talking about the hot seat. Jesus, what is his name for Beamer? And I don't know. Sellers didn't even look like he could throw the ball. He was mostly just running. I do like Kentucky at home to minus the 10.5 on this one. Michigan State is going on the road to Maryland. Maryland's an 8.5-point favorite at SCECU Stadium. Let's take a guess here. These are always fun. We'll just go Southeastern Credit Union. We'll keep it simple for that one. I'm sure that's definitely not right, but 44.5 over/under. Saturday at 3:30 on the Big Ten Network.
You caught me a little early. I was looking up what SECU stands for you.
All right, keep looking it up. Let me throw in a better guess because there's no way it's Southeastern Credit Union. Let's go like Suffolk Education Credit Union. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll round back to this because it's not fine as I thought.
Not an easy find.
State Chartered Credit Union is the name.
Oh, wait, hold on. State chartered?
That's what it sounds. Maryland's largest state chartered credit union.
So SECU is State Chartered Credit Union?
Maryland Athletics announced a sweeping partnership with SECU in 2022, Maryland's largest state chartered credit union that will recognize SECU, pronounced CQ.
Oh, so it's not even there is no meaning. It's just CQ?
Yep. As the official banking partner of the Maryland
team. Oh, that is some trickery. Who would have ever got that right?
Yeah, I don't know. Sparty's barely beat Florida Atlantic. The Terps looked better against UConn. Billy Edwards looks solid as well for Maryland. I'm going to take the Terps here minus the points.
Give me Michigan State plus the 8.5. I like Aiden Childs. He did start. There was some very questionable calls very early in that game. He threw an interception on the first drive of the game. And the Florida Atlantic guy clearly was out of bounds. The replay showed he was out of bounds. Everyone was saying he was out of bounds, and they overturned it and gave him the ball. Referees at their finest, like always. But I'm still big on Michigan State. I think Maryland was a little bit of a fluke in week 1. I'm going to take Michigan State plus the 8.5. UTSA at Texas State. Texas State's a 1.5-point favorite. 63.5 is the over-under. Saturday at 4 on ESPNU. This could be a game that could potentially mess up the Group of 5 playoff berth.
Sorry, I just saw the next location that's coming up. I was a little surprised at how porous Texas State's defense was against Lamar in week 1. Jordan McLeod looked good, but the defense gave up 27 all in the second half. That can't happen every week. On the other side, Baby McCown had a good week 1, albeit against arguably one of the worst teams in college football. For what it's worth, Kennesaw put themselves in positions to score often, but they just couldn't get into the end zone. They had a lot of field goals. It's a tough one, but I'm going to take Texas State being at home to get the W by at least a field goal.
Yeah, I'm on Texas State also. I just want to see them keep this run going. They're one of the sleeper teams that could potentially go undefeated, and I'd really like to see them with a chance to make the college football playoff. Our Notre Dame faithful has chimed in here. Al Golden calls the defense. So that's what I thought. I did not think that Marcus Freeman was a play caller. I thought he was just more of like a leader of men. Truly like the badass that he is standing over there. He doesn't even need to do anything. He just stands there and just looks like a badass. That's my kind of guy. I'm telling you, I want this guy as my head coach. I like what he stands for. This game is one I'm really looking forward to. Colorado going on the road to Nebraska, -7.5. Nebraska, 7.5-point favorite, 57.5 over under Saturday at 7:30 on NBC. And yes, it is Memorial Stadium. Reese.
Colorado won this game pretty handedly last year, but this is a different Nebraska team. Dylan Raiola looked good in week 1. Cornhusker crowd's going to be amped up. These teams do not have any love loss. If Rule's team can keep the turnovers under control, I think they get the W. So I'm going to roll with the Cornhuskers here minus the points.
I think Nebraska will be a much more disciplined team. I think Colorado is the most undisciplined team. One of the ones that I've pretty much ever seen. Shiloh Sanders is an absolute piece of shit. He's going to get thrown out of every game this year, it seems. He late hits after every play. They finally called. It didn't matter because the refs screwed him in the end anyway. But he's a very dirty player. I do not like Shiloh Sanders whatsoever. But I think the discipline of Matt Rule's team in Nebraska will be enough, and I don't think Colorado's defense can stop Nebraska's offense. Mississippi State going on the road to Arizona State. Arizona State's 6.5-point favorite, 59.5 over under Saturday at 10:30 on ESPN.
Both these teams look good in week 1. Blake Shapen looked solid in his first start for the Bulldogs. He went 15 of 20 for 247 and 3 scores, plus another 7 carries for 44 and a score on the ground. On the flip side, Arizona State would have had a shutout if not for a late fourth quarter touchdown from Wyoming with 2 seconds left in the game. They held Wyoming to 118 yards in total offense. Impressive regardless of the team that you're playing. I'm going to give the home team the nod here. Give me the Sun Devils minus the points.
Yeah, I was very impressed with Arizona State. I was not expecting that kind of beatdown on Wyoming. Like I said, I love Kenny Dillingham, and a Mississippi State, an SEC school, traveling west to play at 10:30 Eastern. I think all of the cards are in the favor for Arizona State here, so I'm going to take them to cover the 6.5. All right, so moving on to what's first, our lock of the week.
That's all right.
All right, let's kick us off.
I am locking in on number 14, Tennessee over NC State. NC State was trailing as far as late in the third quarter and needed to put on rally caps to beat Western Carolina last week. Tennessee had 0 problems with Chattanooga. They've got that potent offense. I'm taking Rocky Top as my lock here.
It did not take us very long this year to get a double lock, but here we are. Reese, what's the quarterback's name?
Reese is going to leave if you ask that question again. That's his name.
I think that's close. It's kind of close. Yeah, Tennessee, I don't think NC State, like we talked about earlier, I'm not sure they're going to be able to handle this offense. I like Tennessee kind of by a lot. I think Tennessee's probably like a 14-point winner in this game. So we got a double lock already, both of us on Tennessee. All right, for the money line underdog of the week, I am going first. I'm taking, I just talked about it, my guy Aiden Childs, Michigan State plus 265, going on the road to Maryland.
So you hear this production value going on right now? We got dogs barking and all sorts of shit. It's awesome. I am locking in on Syracuse over Georgia Tech. I think Fran Brown is in a position at home to be able to get a W in the building. So give me the orange here, plus the 114.
Very nice.
All right. So that is going to wrap up the week 2 picks. We will be back relatively soon with NFL week 1. We are finally at the pick stage of the NFL season. Got game kickoff Chiefs Ravens 2 nights from now, which is very nice to see. And like I said, we'll just keep ours rolling. We'll be back for week 3 next week. I'm not sure what the big headliner games are right now. There's so many games going on that my brain can't even function right now. But I'm sure there will be some big ones next week. I'm trying to think.
I think the big one's Arizona, Kansas State.
That would be fun offensively.
Bama's on the road against Wisconsin. The mighty Ball State Cardinals are traveling to Miami, Florida to give Cam Ward his first loss.
God, I would absolutely love that. Bama, Wisconsin. I don't know. Wisconsin is not good. I think that might get ugly, but yeah, I think it is the big noon kickoff. So
yeah, we get Oregon State plays.
Oh, the Civil War.
Yeah, and then we get Hudson Card against that Notre Dame defense, and that's in Purdue, so that'll be fun.
Oh, okay, yeah, or we got a little bit to look forward to then. That one's a sneaky game. I'm not sure. Notre Dame's defense is going to give up 97% pass completion, but we will see. But all right, that is it for Reese Downing. I'm Jacob Workman, and that is it for our Week 2 pick episode. Like I said, join us here in just a little bit for our NFL Week 1 picks. See you, everyone.
Cheers, guys.